So, I'm sure you've heard by now the whole situation involving Charlotte and what's going on with her in WWE, especially after it stemmed from what happened on SmackDown. But in case you don't, long story short, the original plan was for them to both go to the ring, exchange the belts, have a bit of a tug of war when, Charlotte would about to hand Becky, or not about to hand, but when Becky's about to go and try to reach for the title, the Raw Women's title, and there was supposed to be a bit of a tug of war. It didn't go as planned. What happened instead is Charlotte yanked it away, tossed it on the ground. Sonya Deville, who I guess is a wrestler and official, had told her, had to break character, tell her to pick it up, and hand it to her, that being Sonya, so, Becky, she can hand it to Becky. And instead of tossing the SmackDown title to Charlotte, she threw the title, that being Becky, threw the SmackDown Women's title to Charlotte. And basically, that's how the segment went. It didn't, it went off it went off with the exchange, but not the way they wanted. And the reason being is because both ladies had voiced their concern about it, obviously stemming off their distrust of each other after what Becky said to Charlotte on the air a couple of years ago when she started her whole man gimmick, calling her plastic and everything, and that hasn't sit well with her ever since. And it's all, and basically that, a term that she told Charlotte, that being Becky, all stems from the fact that Charlotte, as we've been noticing, has been going out getting some plastic surgery done to her face, her upper body, I guess to make herself look more beautiful or to stand out or whatever. I don't know. It's her body. It's her business. I'm just giving my opinion. But anyway, obviously things have not been rosy ever since then, and Charlotte's even confirmed this during a podcast interview with Renee. So yeah, it's just been a very tense situation between the two, and it basically got to a point that when they both got to the back, after the show was over, there was a shouting match in the gorilla position between Becky and Charlotte. And it escalated to a point that Charlotte had to essentially be escorted out of the building. She had to be asked to leave the premises to avoid any further escalation. And she had to be escorted from the building by WWE officials, or at least a WWE official. And this all basically, like I said, the segment went off, but not the way they originally planned, because it seemed like things were off a little bit. Like after the exchange, Charlotte challenged Becky to do a unification right then and there, and then that's prompted Sasha to come out. It was just a very awkward moment that didn't make, the women's division, the championships, or the ones involved in the ring during that segment, that being, Sonya Deville as well, and then later on Sasha to an extent, it didn't make them look, really good. It basically devalued the women's championships on both brands, as well as kind of downgrade, basically was a slap in the face of the women's division overall. Whether you like, the division or you don't, it was a slap in the face. And again, when they got to the back, there was a shouting match, and, Charlotte was asked to leave the premises to avoid any other escalation. She was escorted by an official. And reports have come out, basically, that Becky has been hailed as a hero by a lot of the locker room, and that none of the women, as far as we know, things might change, but none of the women right now want to work with Charlotte. They don't, because of the fact that she's unworkable. I think basically Alex Six, just Alex, formerly Delexman, said it best when he talked about this yesterday during his Q&A, during a video which was, part Q&A and then part, news, basically it was part Q&A. The second half of it was Q&A. The first part of it was talking about the whole Charlotte Becky thing, or the whole Charlotte Flair thing. And he even described it as, James Harden doing something similar in Houston. James Harden didn't want to be there anymore. He wanted to go and be, elsewhere, which he eventually did. He got what he wanted. But he was being difficult. Like, he would show up when he had to, but he wouldn't, be a team player that much. He would constantly complain. He would do this, he would do that. And then finally he was let go, and he was able to go to Brooklyn. And he described the situation with Charlotte being very similar. Now, what's interesting about this scenario, though, is Charlotte pretty much, voiced her concern about the whole segment, saying it would make her look weak, which a lot of people, when they read that part, they're like, wait a minute, Charlotte, of all people, saying it's going to make her look weak? What is she talking about? She hasn't looked weak at all. She's basically been the golden goose of WWE's women's division since she arrived. What is she talking about? And again, that also correlates with, some of the women not wanting to work with her anymore because of the fact that she doesn't like looking weak. But then what's more interesting is the fact that she even vouched for a week ago on Raw in the main event to drop the title to Bianca Belair because I guess she had an inkling or a feeling something was going to happen, if they kept course. And they shot it down. They said, no, you're keeping the title. The same with Becky. Becky, a lot of people have said this. I'm sure Becky's even voiced it herself. That, hey, if I lose the title to Sasha at Crown Jewel, it avoids this situation. WWE shot that down because they want to do a swap. And, some might say, well, it makes sense to keep, do the swap because it keeps both ladies champions. And, there's no like vacancy or anything like that. Both women stay on top and, they continue the reigns. Whether you want to count the new reigns as Raw and SmackDown's champion as, another reign, or you just want to count it as the same, that's up to you. But apparently, one of the reports is Charlotte did not want to win or keep or retain her title on Raw last week. She wanted to drop it to Bianca to avoid this, because Bianca was going to be on Raw anyway. But unfortunately, that didn't go as planned, and that surprised a lot of people. That surprised a lot of people when they heard about it, because it's like, wait a minute, Charlotte of all people actually wanted to do the right thing, and hearing that, or upon hearing that, they pretty much feel like, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's interesting, to hear, and especially coming from somebody that Charlotte actually had been in contact with before at Talk Sport, when she basically had to go to this person, I think his name was Alan or something, and confirm the fact that, hey, what Andrade said about me being pregnant is not true, so let me, give you the facts straight so you can let everybody else know. So if he's saying that Charlotte wanted to do the right thing, and a lot of people are assuming that if he's saying that it might have came from Charlotte herself, then that is a surprise. But still, her actions on SmackDown and then afterwards were not professional in the eyes of a lot of folks, and now a lot of women, I should say, don't want to work with her. Becky is being held as a hero and everything. And what's interesting too is even Becky tried to speak up about this situation and tried to say it wasn't a good idea, but again, it fell through, because even Becky wanted to do something similar because of what's being reported about Charlotte wanting to drop the belt to Bianca is true. It's very similar to Becky assuming she was going to drop the belt to Shayna at WrestleMania last year, the COVID edition, if you will, but it didn't happen. And instead she had to end up dropping it anyway via Money in the Bank briefcase winning of Asuka to Asuka because she found out she was pregnant. The thing is about this whole situation, and a lot of people have agreed upon this, is WWE has no one but themselves to blame. You see, recently a lot of people, they were talking about this whole thing with Eric Bischoff trying to give advice to Tony, and, people agreeing with Eric and what he said to Tony Khan and everything, and, you even have, Jeff Siegel of OTR Central, the Strike Daddy, doing his own videos and everything, talking about, Tony Khan saying this and that, and one of the things that Jeff said that, is worth putting into perspective here is those that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And the one thing a lot of people said about what's going on with Charlotte, mostly, guys like Alex and JD and Sella Monster, the one thing they both agreed on in their own way, or both said in their own unique ways, is what Charlotte's doing right now is similar to what's going on with Sunny. Now, here's the thing. Charlotte wanting to do the right thing on Raw, that is a surprise. And maybe the same thing could be said for the likes of Sunny, Sable, Stacy Keibler, and everything. They wanted to do the right thing as well in their own way, whether you believe any reports about that or not. But, when they come out and say that this situation is similar to what's going on, or what had happened with Sunny, Tammy Lee Cinch, Sable, and then later on Stacy Keibler, again, WWE is basically repeating the same mistakes they did back then and not learning from them. And they're basically what the Slag Daddy said in some of his videos, where he would talk about the Tony Khan situation and say, hey, those that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. That's what's going on with WWE right now. They're not learning from the past mistakes with these other women that they put in the spotlight. They've made their golden gooses. And they're dooming themselves right now by repeating it with Charlotte. So the question is Charlotte going to face any consequences for her actions on SmackDown and behind the scenes and all that? And basically the way she's been acting in total, trying to, voice her concerns over situations, trying to, lobby to do this or that because, she believes she has the pull that, she thinks she has. The thing is, does she face any consequences? And I don't know. I don't know if she faces any consequences. Because again, if she's trying to speak up, I can understand maybe her not facing consequences for trying to speak up and do the right thing, if that's true, to an extent. But, should she face consequences for the way she's been acting behind the scenes? She's isolating herself from everybody else. She's, acting very diva-ish. She, basically, is basically, flipping the script on people on camera, live when things happen. Should she face consequences? Again, I don't know. I think Sports Keita said it best. Right now, WWE is in a situation to where she is basically the golden goose, or at least one of them. And they can't afford to lose her. They can't afford to punish her. Because if they punish her, they got to punish the likes of Roman Reigns and anybody else for any, disrespect or insubordinations that, they may pull or have pulled. They have to do the same thing to them. But they won't. Because they know that if they do anything, it'll be more fire to her fuel, or be more fuel to her fire, to basically, when the time comes for her to leave, or find a way out of her contract, she'll be able to go out there, do shoot interviews, show up at other promotions, and basically, bombshell WWE to oblivion, in her, from her point of view. So again, should she face consequences? Well, for what she pulled on SmackDown, whether you liked the segment or you didn't, and the way she acted backstage and the way she has been acting, and whether or not you believe her wanting to do the right thing on Raw with Bianca last week, should she face consequences with, I could say her potentially wanting to do the right thing with Bianca last week being, excluded, like kind of being put to the side right now. Honestly, yeah, I think she should face consequences. I think, WWE should, basically put her in her place by telling her, look, you might be the daughter of Ric Flair, and yeah, we might value you as the face of our women's division, but you're not bigger than this company. Here's the thing. Once in a while, they come out and they have the McMahon say nobody's bigger than WWE. Maybe they need to stick by that and tell Charlotte, you're not bigger than this company, so why don't you, basically humble yourself, swallow your pride, and go out there and do your job. And that's it. That's all they have to do. They just have to give her that kind of a speech. And if they do, maybe problem solved. Who knows? But the thing is like a lot of people said, they created this monster. And now they got to deal with it. They basically handed her everything on a silver platter. Let's not deny that. Yeah, she had some great matches to win these, championships that she won. But, she didn't have to go over in all of them. She could have said, nope, let this person go over. Or nope, let that person go over. Instead, she went over most of the time. And now she's basically gotten to a point that's like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. I can say what I want. I can act the way I want. Whether it's, in violation of what WWE wants to, see or not, violation of what WWE wants to see or not. I can do whatever I want. I'm not going to get in trouble because they value me too much. And again, WWE is doing themselves with history by repeating it. By, having Charlotte just do this. Now, what's interesting is Andrade, her husband, tweeted out after Rampage, after he had a terrific match with Pac, even in a losing effort, he tweeted out FWWE. Now, we weren't sure, nobody was sure whether or not he was saying that because, hey, look at the kind of match I have with Pac. This is what you could have had if you let me do my own thing. We're not sure if it's that, but as more time, nobody was sure, I should say, if it was that, but as more time came up and more information has come out, apparently we all know, at least everybody pretty much figured out exactly, what the FWWE thing was on Andrade's Twitter. It was about what happened to Charlotte and her being escorted out of the building by an official because of what was happening afterwards backstage, in gorilla position. And apparently Vince is not happy about it either. But again, what is he going to do? He can't fire her. She's one of the top stars he has. And, if he fires her, you can't tell me she won't, being a Flair, if you will, you can't tell me she's not going to find a legal means to get out of her 90-day compete clause or non-compete clause and go straight to AEW. Of course she will. You don't think she's not looking at AEW and saying, I'd rather be there right now? And if they give me an excuse to, and if they give me a reasoning to, or if I give them a reason, or they find a reason to fire me and everything, I can use legal means to automatically go over there and not have to worry about 90 days? You don't think she's not thinking about that? Of course she is. Of course she is. And here's the thing. Charlotte, this might sound like I'm defending her. Maybe this whole situation with her acting the way she is, and honestly, nobody should act like that in the workplace, no matter what job they have. Maybe this is all stemming from the fact that her husband's not there anymore. Maybe it's stemming from the fact her dad isn't there anymore. And she's upset. It's kind of very similar to Owen Hart. When Brett left, and then Jim left, and then Davey Boy left, he was the last one remaining. And, people thought, him being the lone heart, if you will, would be a perfect, storyline and driving force to get him to the top finally. But it never happened. But what we saw during the early stages of that, in a sense, was basically him showing his frustration on screen, and I'm sure behind the scenes at times, at WWE for not letting him out of his contract because he wanted to go too. And Shawn Michaels is another example. Shawn Michaels at one point became difficult because WWE would not let him out of his contract to go to WCW to be with his friends. So, this is nothing different. This is nothing different when it comes to Charlotte. And again, it may sound like I'm defending her, but maybe, and this is just an opinion, maybe she's just, pissed off at WWE for firing Andrade and for firing her father, and she doesn't know how else to take it. And all she's doing now is just saying, okay, you want to treat me like maybe what she's doing, think about this, maybe she's just shoving it in their faces, saying, hey, you want to treat me like a queen? You want me to say I'm the queen? You want to treat me and have me act like I'm better than everybody else? Guess what? I'm going to do that in real life. I'm going to shove that right in your faces, and everybody's going to pay for it because of what you did. Maybe that's the reason she's acting like this. We don't know. But still, it's no excuse for acting unprofessional. You need to basically the old saying goes, you need to leave your personal life at home and focus on your job. Or as the old saying goes with your job, leave your problems at work, and not bring them home. And the same goes here. Don't bring your personal life into the situation. Leave that be and focus on being a professional. So again, I don't know if she should be punished. I really don't. But honestly, WWE's got themselves in a bind, because if she's got years remaining on the contract and she's got basically money coming in yearly if not weekly by the millions or whatever the case may be, $1 million, whatever, she's basically got that fracture of a cost going. I don't know. WWE's got themselves in a bind. And here's the thing, they got themselves so much in a bind that we have to realize it was Fox that wanted Charlotte on there, not WWE. It was Fox. So now WWE can't do anything, because if they say, hey, we're going to punish and legitimately, we're going to punish, Charlotte on screen. We're going to, have her drop the belt. We're going to have her job, and then we're going to let her go. Fox is not going to like that, because they're going to be like, what are you doing? You're making her look weak. This is not what we want. We want her to look strong. That's what we want her. Again, WWE has got no one but themselves to blame here. No one. There were many situations to avoid this. Everybody has said what those situations were. Everybody has said it. Everybody has said they could have, if true, they could have let Charlotte drop the belt to Bianca on Raw. They could have had Becky drop the belt to Sasha at Crown Jewel. Situation avoided. Or they could have done a backstage segment where basically you see Sonya Deville with both championships, and then one at a time, during different variables of the night, you have Charlotte come in, Sonya hands her the SmackDown title. You have Becky come in, Sonya hands her the Raw title. End of discussion. End of story. Nothing, nothing happens. Trouble averted. But they didn't do that. They didn't do that. And what did Charlotte do after she was escorted out of the building? She headed straight for Orlando. She headed straight for the UCF Arena to support Andrade. All because WWE just doesn't know what is in this predicament. All because WWE, I should say, put themselves in this situation because they're not learning from past mistakes. But hopefully, pray to God, if you will, or whoever you believe, or whatever higher power you believe in. I believe in my Lord above, my Lord and Savior. Just pray, things get resolved peacefully. Cooler heads prevail, and things can go on as scheduled or as planned. But what do you guys think? Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, as well as during the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Check out the Teespring store. Check me out at BW Roses on VENMO. Check me out at BW Roses on Patreon. Just help support the brand there. Also, check me out at BW Roses Discussions on all your favorite podcast locations except for Pandora. As well as check out my Venmo if you want to help donate in that department. So until next time, guys, I'll talk to y'all later.